Dr. Jill Biden, not really a doctor, but she insists you call her a doctor. Not a nice person. I'm sorry. She just seems very touchy and on edge pretty much always. Here she was this morning on the CBS fake news show. I mean, they were being all so nice to her, and she wouldn't have it.
But when these polls, like the Wall Street Journal one, land in the White House and he's losing in all the battleground states.
No, he's not losing in all the battleground states. He's coming up, and he's even or doing better. So you know what? Once people start to focus in and they see their two choices, it's obvious that Joe will win this election.
All right.
Very snippy, you know? Maybe you're hoping to win the election. What about, I don't know, it was just, there's an arrogance there and a nastiness too. That's been there for a long time.
Your husband has been known to make the occasional gaffe.
Oh, you can't even go there. You can, after Donald Trump, you cannot even say the word
I can't even say the word gaffe?
Nope.
But you not
Nope. Done. It's gone.
The gaffe issue is over because...
Over. So over.
According to Jill Biden, she is so decreed. And the fake news just kind of goes along with it. Well, we got to set the record straight about something, given that she's very visible these days all over again. How she met Joe Biden. It's not the way they tell the story. This is not true. Their official version didn't happen this way.
When I met Jill, I knew. My brother said, there's this woman, you'll really like her, Joe. So I gave her a call, and she had a date that night.
You said, do you think you could break your date?
Oh, that's right. And what'd you do?
Well, I called and told the guy that I had a friend in from out of town and went out with Joe.
Yeah, that's not true. None of that stuff happened. Jill had an extramarital affair with Joe Biden. She was married to a really great guy named Bill Stevenson. Yeah. Bill Stevenson's been on this show, and he actually told the story back in 2020. He didn't say anything negative about Jill. He knew lies were being told, and that wasn't fair to him.
So you were friends with Joe Biden?
Oh, yeah. Right before the election in '72, Jill, Joe, Nelia, and I were in his kitchen. How do you forget that?
Stevenson says his first inkling something was up came when Jill refused to go with him to meet Bruce Springsteen, who was booked to appear at the Stone Balloon.
She said, Joe asked me to keep an eye on the boys. And I just thought to the back of my mind,
Yeah, something was up. He was hanging around with Joe, raising money for him. The wives got to know each other and took a real interest in his wife. Next, please.
One day, he says a man came into his bar and asked him to pay damages for a fender bender that involved Jill.
he looks at me and he says, oh, she wasn't driving. I said, her beloved Corvette, she wasn't driving it? He goes, Senator Biden was driving it. And I went, what?
Wow. Senator Biden having an affair with the wife of one of his constituents, a constituent. All right, so what happened next? A divorce happened a couple of years later, and Bill Stevenson has told us the story. He believes, and there's a lot of evidence to support this, that Joe had a vendetta against Bill Stevenson. And I think this is proof right here. Bill had a great big business in Wilmington, Delaware. Everybody knew it, called the Stone Balloon. They just referred to it. A nightclub, and some of the biggest acts in music would go there and perform. Well, he fell behind on payroll taxes. Yeah, $8,000 it was reported. Let's take a look at that to be sure. Yeah, William and George Stevenson, his brother, were accused of criminal liability for the $8,266 in unmade deposits. Guess what happened? The feds arrested him. Yep, they arrested him. And he was indicted for this stuff. In court papers, on April 21st, 1982, defendants were arraigned in this court for failing to make payments to the account for the first quarter of 1982. All right. Notice anything about this? 1982, first quarter, Can I see the first quarter? January, February, and March, 1982. All right. Didn't make $8,000 worth of payments. Apparently, they were on their way to make the payments right when they got arrested. And when were they brought in? When were they arraigned? April 21st. 3 weeks late. The feds come knocking on his door for an $8,000 bill. You think Joe Biden might have had something to do with that? Look, I see it all the time, and so do you, and I think we're seeing it happening to President Trump right now. The government being used to get political opponents, rivals, whatever. You know, in 1972, 1973, throughout the 70s and 80s and 90s, Joe Biden is loving life. I mean, he's a senator in Delaware. Now, Delaware, let's take a look at Delaware. It's not big. In fact, it's smaller than like 50% of the counties in America, most of the counties in California. But he's a U.S. senator, and he can get things done. And Bill Stevenson, I think he wanted to get him. I think he resented him. His wife did not make out in the divorce case or suit the way Joe thought she should have made out, should have gotten more. Bill's been on this show, generated headlines all across the world, by the way, when he talked about this. He went through the details, everything he told, Inside Edition a few years ago, and then he told us in a bit more detail and all that stuff with the stone balloon. You know who didn't write about it? The Delaware News Journal, the hometown paper of Joe Biden. They wouldn't write the story. Everybody knows this story in Delaware, but they won't write it. Maybe because they just don't want to take the chance. Maybe because Joe Biden is a vindictive guy, and if he can get or try to get Donald Trump, he could probably get a small newspaper in Wilmington, don't you think? At least that's the way they think. I'll be right back.